Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Q&A, this time with the promised inclusion of Dan and Lindsey. This is the cheering, the international symbol for cheering. It's
Hello.
not, I just made it up. You guys asked all sorts of questions last month that could be directed towards Dan and Lindsey, and possibly Mal and myself. We've got some of them. I said some because I don't remember how many. It's more than 10.
It's not the sum of them. It's not all of them. It's
You're going to ask all the questions at once. Prepare yourselves. So the first question, which I think is a really great question, comes from Joseph Boehmer, who says, Dan and Lindsey, why did you move to Myrtle Beach? And moving on.
Next question.
I mean, is that like basically the driving? I mean, if we weren't here, I'm assuming you wouldn't have lived in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, well, yeah, yes.
You needed a change.
Yeah, I needed
scenery.
I needed a change,
and we were a good.
Yeah, well, I mean, you basically convinced me to move here. Not convince. Convince sounded like a manipulation of some sort, but like you. I mean, my current career path wasn't what I was hoping for, and you're like, hey, come live
up here.
Yeah, live up here. You know, a bunch of people that live up here, friends.
Yeah, well, we have people here that we knew, that you knew.
Yeah, because I've visited here multiple times, so like I know people.
And we had like all sorts of extra job opportunities and stuff, and then also like doing stuff for us too.
Yeah, and also Jarrett was a big thing, like helping him with wedding photography, and I had met him multiple times. And so.
And Lindsey, you're like, I'm gonna move there.
Yeah, I didn't have any friends left in Wisconsin.
They all moved away.
Yeah, they all met dudes and moved away from Wisconsin, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna pick one of those cities and move to and my mom goes, why don't you move to the beach? So yeah,
I mean,
thanks, Mom.
You know, the Myrtle
true.
one.
We do have the beach. It's a pretty cool place. Now, leading into that is a question from Tyler Alexander, who asks, what do you like best about living in Myrtle Beach?
I really enjoy the fact that I feel pretty much at home because Jacksonville's not as much of a beach city as Myrtle Beach is, but like the beach is like 20 minutes from where I was. And so I feel like a lot of the same things are like, it's very similar. It's definitely more southern, which kind of makes
even though it's further north than
even though it's further north.
Well,
I've had interactions with people where I have not understood. They'd be like, I'm what? Excuse me?
Yeah, that'll happen a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, a very little bit. But I mean, overall, the thing that I like so much about it is that it feels like where I've grown up. So.
And the temperature is probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
Whereas Lindsey,
it's not so much.
A little different.
Yeah,
coming from Wisconsin.
Nothing at all like home, but being able to go to the beach and just hang out there is really awesome. You know, like I can work and get done with work and go walk for an hour or so, and the weather's nice too.
When you first live at the beach, well, if you grow up here, I guess it's different. But like when you move to the beach, especially when you first move to the beach, you use the beach. It's great. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering what the length of time is before you
take it for granted.
Yeah, like there's some amount of time where you're like, oh, that thing, yeah, it's there. Where
you don't go there.
Where you go there specifically when people come to visit, and you're like, yeah, we have that thing.
Yeah,
you'll get a call in like a few years and be like, it happened.
Just hanging up. So there's another great question from Black Fox 51. It says, is there anything you miss from your hometowns or places that you've lived? And if there's anything from home, like a favorite restaurant or landmark that you could bring to Myrtle Beach, what would you pick? So what is it that you miss most about Jacksonville and the Midwest?
She's just from the Midwest. There is a barbecue restaurant called Four Rivers Barbecue. It's stupid good.
So
they have a few locations, and you will even see it in Publix. They have like a barbecue sauce.
Oh.
Shout out to Four Rivers.
Please send us product.
But I mean, like little places like the Maple Street Biscuit that
Yeah.
we went to
Yeah.
previously on the vlog. I really miss that.
I missed that, and I only ever went once. The place is amazing.
What about that deli?
European Street.
Yeah, that
is
was
really
good.
good.
They have good scones.
There's also a taco place, not just Taco Bell. Though I mean we have that here, but there's a place Tijuana Flats, which is actually a chain. It's not like a Jacksonville thing, but we don't have one of those. But the thing, like, we straight up have Publix here, which I'm really grateful for. We have Which, which I really enjoyed. Which
I enjoyed. Never mind.
which. But yeah, it's mostly restaurants. So
Lindsay, what do you miss? You still miss snow, right?
I do. I still miss snow. There's just something magic about it leading up to Christmas and all the houses being decorated and front
Snow.
yards and then like having the snow on top, on top of it is really cool. I miss fall.
I miss fall.
We have fall.
I miss seasons
No, we
in
don't.
It's
general.
not.
It's a hot fall.
Same.
It's a really hot fall.
It's a real sweaty fall.
Other places call it summer. We call it fall.
No.
We have summer, cold summer, warm summer,
Hot summer.
hot summer.
Yeah, there's just again, it's almost magical. Like the air gets a little bit colder
Crisp.
and it's crisp and you can smell the leaf, like, which is sad because it's the death of the leaves. But it's just like
Nothing
apples
sweeter than the
and
smell of death.
See, that's the other thing I'm wondering. Like, eventually you'll take the beach for granted. Might take a little time.
Yeah.
And then I'm wondering when you're going to be like, the snow. I don't know about the snow. It might take you a while.
If I ever move back, then I'll be like, oh, why did I ever miss this? But because I
true.
don't have it, I
Yeah.
think I miss it.
Mal, for a while, whenever we were dating, Mal missed the snow. And then she stopped missing the snow so much as the, like,
Just the first good
The look
snow,
of snow.
and then that's it.
Yep.
she has no desire to, like, be in the snow, but to, like, see it. So, like, she wants to be inside with hot cocoa and look outside and see snow and be like, that's snow, and then never go outside. Is there any, like, restaurants or anything that you miss from Wisconsin?
Culver's.
Culver's is the obvious answer here. I love them and I miss them.
Although they're getting closer and closer.
They are.
They're coming.
I also really love Noodles and Company. We don't have one down here,
No.
and it's so good.
What was El Azteca was one of my favorites,
yeah.
and it's just a Mexican restaurant, but like,
It's a local 3-location chain, I think.
yeah, but like their food was always really good, and they had good dishes that they don't
Is
have
that
at
the
the
place that had the monster burrito?
Yes.
Yes.
Big as your head.
I had one, though. It was good.
I want to go to there.
Yeah.
We can make that happen at some point.
But then also, we don't have a
Drive
Qdoba
up there
down here.
specifically for the
No, we
burrito.
don't.
We only have Chipotle, and it's just not as good.
Well, maybe we'll fix that. Myrtle,
That's
I mean,
an
one of the
opinion.
great things about Myrtle Beach is that we're super touristy. Like,
Yeah.
we only exist because of tourism. So if there's a favorite restaurant that you like, there's a good chance that it's coming, or that it's going, because we had a Moe's, and the
We
Moe's
lost
actually
the Moe's.
is gone.
The Moe's closed?
Yeah.
Most
Never made it
by the
there.
road.
There's another one somewhere. I don't know. We just have to drive a little for it. So here's another great question. This is from TheWindshark. Have you ever been out of the U.S. and where did you go? Lindsay has an extended,
I have way too many stories.
an
You go
extended
first.
answer for this one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I was like 12 or so, our family went to Italy and England. I have relatives in England, and
And I mean, you have
yeah. What?
birthright from
Birthright? Oh, from
Yeah.
from
Dan,
the Italia.
Yeah, Dan is Italian.
Yeah. My dad's dad. So I'm a quarter
Yep.
Italian.
Which is just enough to make that
Yeah.
noise. To
Yeah,
say
yeah.
to say Italian. You get a
and
pass on that.
And it's okay if I do it.
Yeah.
But not if.
But not if I do it.
I'm horribly offended. No, but yeah, we also then went back to England, and but also France for actually my cousin's wedding. They have since moved to Birmingham and then back to London. And then also But in between those two trips, I went to Denmark summer 2005, and then Sweden in 2006 and 2007 with my family, which was super fun. Which is actually why there was another question.
There was another question we didn't put on here, but we figured we could mention.
Yeah.
Where in GTA Online, Dan occasionally will rock a Swedish flag.
The Sverige flag, yeah.
And it's because Dan has actually been to Sweden.
Yeah. I just really enjoyed the times that we were there. And yeah. I think that's it.
And since then, you've been back to Italy.
Oh, yeah. Actually, a couple years ago, it was really special because it was just me, my brother, and then my grandpa. And we all just rocked a Fiat and just drove around. And there was a part, I forget what small Italian town it was, but we ended up driving like through the town, and it's clearly not supposed to be, because we didn't notice any cars. And like we were just like going around, and like we got like all these weird looks, and we were like, what's going on? And then
and then they were like, why have you driven a car into our town?
Anyway.
So Lindsey,
Yeah.
have you ever left the U.S.?
I have. In college, I studied abroad twice. I lived in Spain for 6 months. España. And then I lived in London for 3 months and did an internship there. And then I traveled a lot the whole time. So when I was living in Spain, where did we all go? So we did a couple of school trips there, and then my friends and I went to Portugal, Italy, France, and then when my mom came to visit, Spain is like a super religious country, so you get the week before Easter and the week after Easter off of school. So my mom came to visit, and we did 2 weeks traveling around Europe. Spain, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, and a whole week in Germany. And then when I was living in London, I went to Scotland, the Netherlands, and Cadiz in the south of Spain, and literally just spent 4 days at the beach with some friends, which was the craziest, coolest thing.
And it's probably understood since you spent so much time in Spain, but Lindsey speaks fluent Spanish.
Yeah, it was my major in college, and I've been trying to keep up with it since then.
Yeah.
So.
And the only person that I know personally that can communicate with you is Alex, because Alex also knows Spanish. Yeah. Although
I feel like it's not
to a lesser, almost comical degree, but it's enough where he'll say things occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you've seen a lot of...
I've seen a lot of Western Europe.
Yeah.
Mostly.
But
never been to Canada. No,
Okay.
I didn't go to Poland. I did go to a concentration camp, though. I don't remember.
I must have been confusing that because I thought maybe you went to Auschwitz.
Okay. It was one of the other Dachau, maybe.
Okay.
If that's in Germany. Yeah. I think
so this isn't part of the question, but I think it's like a good thing to throw in. Where do you each want to go next that's not in the U.S.? Unless there's a place in the U.S. you really want to go.
All of the places.
That's too vague.
Because one of the places that we just went, actually, when this Q&A comes out, it's within a few days of this Q&A coming out, you'll see the four of us go to New York City.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Mm-hmm. It's great. But where would you like to go, outside of the U.S. next? That's not Spain or Sweden.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
For The Hobbit?
I guess. Or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's
either one.
The Hobbit's the one I've seen, so I'm like, The Hobbit?
Yeah, you need to add that to the movie list.
Yeah, around to that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I was real jelly because Thomas got to go.
Yeah.
Like a couple months ago, I think, and just seeing all his photos made me.
And Paul is there.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Paul also went to New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Now, Lindsey, I know that you want to go back to Spain.
Yeah, I really want to bring all of you guys back and show you around the country because it's really cool and it's hard to get around if you don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, you'd have to be there.
Because they kind of cut everybody out and only spoke Spanish until like the 80s. That was when English really started coming in. So it's hard to get around without somebody that speaks Spanish. So that's definitely on the list. I would love to go to Japan.
Japan.
Japón.
Mortal Kombat.
But then, fun fact, I just did my Ancestry DNA, and I am, like, I'm Nordic. So
you're like Sweden or Netherlands, right?
No. It's Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, I think.
Oh.
So, like, I don't know which one of the countries my ancestors are from, but I never knew that. So I would love to go and just kind of experience that.
I have a ton of Scandinavian.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nordic also works, but I have a ton of Scandinavian, so that's something I would like to do also at some point.
Yeah, I'm like 25% Scandinavian.
Me too.
Yeah,
Scandinavian. Yeah. Do you have any Scandinavian? Because if not, you can't be in this club. Sorry.
Okay.
Only Poles and Scandinavians are allowed.
Yay,
Poles.
I've been there more than you. I'm just kidding.
Doesn't matter.
I know more about your heritage than you do.
The next question I just think is fun. MrNintendoGod asks, how much did all of you party in college? And this is probably, for Dan and myself, a lot of people probably know, if you've watched the old vlogs.
A ton.
What is that? What is that?
All we did on the weekends. Most of the weekdays.
I mean, for what it's worth, we had a lot of fun, and we partied.
You got turned.
We got turned down. Up? Which way does it go? We got turned all the sideways ways.
If things get turned down, that's like when you're watching TV and you're like, turned down.
Yeah, so you can tell that I I run a YouTube channel that is down with the kids. I'll be playing your favorite video games on the internet. Me and Dan, we didn't do a whole lot. Mao, I know from dating Mao and being in that long distance relationship that she was not being what
I lived in the art building.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah. Now, Lindsey, I'm assuming that you did something marginally more parties than we did.
Well, I mean, it's Wisconsin too.
I did my semester in Spain when I was 19. The legal drinking age over there is 18. I needed to learn about
great time
culture.
in Spain.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I needed to learn about the young people there, and I don't know how much all y'all know about Spain, but they don't eat supper until like 9 at night. And then you go to the bars at 10, and then when the bars close, you go to the discotheque, and then you like dance until 4 in the morning. And that's real fun.
And then you wake up and you do it all over again.
And then I also happened to stay in Stevens Point. I know you transferred out, but I stayed, and there's a brewery there. And it's
one of the many towns with its own brewery.
Yeah, it's very cold in the winter. There's not much to do other than really have a great time.
Party.
Yeah.
Party, guys.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, if you ask any of the people that I hung out with in college, they all partied more than I did. But compared to these squares,
but like, you told me once that there were people that like drank all night, or like they stayed at the place until like
when we were in Spain, some of the guys they went out all night and then went to the discotheque, and when that closed, they went to school.
Yeah, like 7
they just never went home after dinner at 9 p.m.
It's like no sleeping.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it's an interesting life, for certain. I don't know if it would have, went well with how I was doing things, but we had fun.
Yeah. It was fun.
Just slightly different type of fun. It was, we played a lot of Grand Theft Auto 4 online.
Like 6 hour. Hey, buddy.
Also, we have cats.
Hi.
And because there's 4 people and it's a wide shot, you'll probably see them. And we can't stop them because they don't speak English.
Hey, Johannes.
Okay, so leading from that question, it's a funny lead-in. How much did you party? Lindsey, you partied a lot? Okay, well, Michael Pichford wants to know, what did you go to college for?
Partying, obviously.
And what are you doing now?
Like I mentioned before, I majored in Spanish, but I'm going to tell this story to help anybody thinking about college or in college.
Sure.
I started college expecting to be an orthodontist. So
Really?
yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Yep. So I started speaking Spanish when I was 10, and that was just kind of a known thing that I was going to do that in college. But then I also wanted something else, and I got accepted to, I think Point is one of the better science schools.
Yeah, it is.
So I got accepted in the pre-dentistry program, and I was doing all sorts of biology, and it just wasn't fun anymore after freshman year. It was really difficult, and I wanted to enjoy myself. Not party every night, enjoy myself, but I didn't want to be stressed out and just...
You wanted to enjoy your classes.
Yeah, I wanted to enjoy the time that I spent there for the money I was spending. And after my freshman year, I actually dropped my pre-dentistry major, and I could have graduated after 2.5 or 3 years because of all my Spanish credits, but I didn't want to leave yet. And my mom really wanted me to get my business degree. So my second major is business administration, which is super boring to me personally, but it paid off. So yeah, I majored in Spanish and business administration, and then I minored in anthropology. And that's I say that my business administration major is why I studied abroad a second time, because I also did an internship over there. But yeah, so that's what I did, and then the second half was what I do for work now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do for work now is when you call a company and they have the voice that says, "This call may be monitored for quality and assurance purposes."
It definitely is.
It is. I'm quality and assurance. There's a team of 20 of us, and we go through and listen and make sure that all the information is correct, people are being polite, there's no swearing, there's no attitude.
You're paying attention to your employees.
Yeah, sorry,
Not
not the customers. All y'all,
Yeah.
I mean, don't be rude, but we're not going to come after you. But yeah, I'm listening to make sure that the employees are being polite and doing their jobs the right way. And I do get to use my Spanish, which is fun. We got a call center in Puerto Rico and Colombia. And then some of our folks down in Nevada also speak Spanish. So I get to use that sometimes, which is really nice. But yeah, picking up a second language makes you very marketable. I have made more money than people in my position ever since I got out of college, just because I had the skill, regardless of whether or not they wanted to use it. They just wanted me to have it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's good advice for people that do have at least semi-strengths in another language. It's you should pursue that, because like what you said,
Yep.
just knowing another language makes you a lot more valuable.
Yep, absolutely.
I have no other language skills. So,
But yes, I want
your high school Spanish video.
Oh man, yeah, that was painful.
hamburger con queso,
Ay, Dios mío.
pantalones,
Oh my god.
pantalones con queso,
Oh.
And fuego.
el loco. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
boy.
Now, I'm actually I'm gonna tack on a tiny bit on that question for you, Dan.
Oh, okay. I was gonna be like, I didn't.
Because
You don't get to answer Dan.
well, we know what you went to college for,
Yeah.
because you've actually Dan's been on a
Yeah.
previous Q&A, and also he was in the vlogs for 2 years in college.
Yeah.
But you went to school for motion graphics.
Yeah. Motion media design is what they call it now. And I get to use that from time to time when making intro cards for editing for it and stuff.
But my thing was, what are you doing now? Because some people don't know what you do.
Okay.
Some people think that you are our full-time lackey,
No.
where we just chain you
Dan,
to a
give me
wall
coffee.
and
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Yeah, we're just Dan's side gig.
Yeah. Well, I have two.
Multiple side gigs.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have. So it's basically part-time / maybe full-time. But I'm technically a contractor, right? That's what the
For
official
us?
title. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For you guys. But I'm also I work part-time, also managing a social media account for a company here in Myrtle Beach. And don't know why I said it like that.
I'm just glad you did.
Yeah. And I've been really enjoying that. It's really interesting. Getting to do that, and I've done that actually before for other companies. So, it's nothing.
You have previous experience doing that.
Yeah. So. And it's been fun.
You're a social media expert, ambassador.
Well, I wouldn't say expert
Guru.
by any
Guru.
means.
Smee.
People love that word, guru.
Do they?
No.
No.
I mean,
But that's how you should market yourself to
The
people.
Love Guru was not a good movie.
The reason I tacked that on
Sorry.
is because the next question is from the MandarShow, and it says, did you ever think you would work from home, and how do you manage your own schedules and work-life balance? And that's because all of us work from home.
Yeah.
Dan obviously does our stuff, but his social media stuff is also done from home.
Yeah. Like,
Lindsey does quality assurance from home. Mal paints. I do videos. So every single person on the couch works from home.
Especially Kepi.
Yeah.
Kepi don't do anything.
He working real
and we need to
hard
have
right
a
now.
serious talk soon about that. So, did any of you imagine that you would be working from home? Was that ever something that was in your thoughts?
yeah, I have previously worked at like what I would call like, you know, kind of like office space, kind of like that kind of environment.
Yeah. Well, you
and
worked
I wanted to die.
You
Like-
worked at an ad agency.
Well, no,
Right?
But even before that,
okay.
for I spent a little bit of time like where you have to have like all the business attire, and I
At
wanted
like a
and I
cubicle?
it wasn't in a cubicle, but like there were it wasn't a place that had cubicles, and I just wanted to die. That might be a little dramatic, but I did work at a production company where you know, the clothing attire was totally casual. But like I always just felt like, you know, I would much rather be my own boss and you know, be able to manage my own time. And
Yeah. Did you ever think that you'd be working from home?
Having known about it, it seemed really cool, and it was something that I thought would be neat. And then when I found out about the position that I have right now, it was that you had to do the job in the office for a year, and then you could go work at home. And I was like, well, that's in the plus column. So I got really excited to do that, and then I found out that I had to work from home within 60 miles of the office building in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I was really sad. So I reached out to my boss, who reached out to her boss, who reached out to her boss, who was work at home. And actually all three of them are. And they kind of looked at statistics and figured out that it would be okay. And we negotiated, like, if the computer goes down, it's going to come out of my PTO if I can't get it back up, paid time off, and that kind of thing. And we just kind of had to work out how it was going to be without me being within 60 miles of the office. And we decided that it would be okay. And my boss reaches out to me quite frequently. We make sure everything's running smoothly. And a lot of people on my team are work from home. I think we've only got 3 or 4 people in the office still. So, you know, as soon as it turned out to be something that I could actually do, it was really awesome. And I wasn't sure it was going to happen.
Because that was kind of one of your deciding factors for moving here, right? Is that you had a job that you liked, and you were like, can I take this job to Myrtle Beach? And everyone was like, well, okay. And that's one of the reasons you wound up coming down here.
And like jobs down here don't pay that much. So I was really worried about how much I would have to hustle if I moved here without that job. But it worked out.
Yeah.
Yay.
And now you get to work from home.
Yes.
So the question now, which is the question that I've had almost a decade of experience with and is still awful, how do you manage work-life balance? Good answer. That is a great answer. Just stare into the void and nod. Because for me, it's I'm good at it now, but I also am a workaholic, so it's not a real
Steven's
answer.
fun is work.
Yeah, that's what I would rather do is just work. So it's less about balancing things and more about just working a lot, and then occasionally being like, "Hey, cat, you can sleep in my lap," and then that's the life part of the work-life balance.
But then sometimes he's like, no, I'm gonna choose Dan instead.
Yeah. If Dan is available, we go for Dan. I mean, is there anything that specifically that you guys do to, I don't know, mentally stop working or mentally start working?
I'm not good at like being able to tell my brain, hey, you should go to sleep. I'm typically like, I need to finish this video, and then that way, like overnight while I'm sleeping, I can render it or whatever. But there have been times where I've just like, the amount of work for something, I'm kind of like, I should have gone to bed maybe like an hour ago. And it's,
Do you find yourself getting sucked in where, like you're working?
I just want to like cross things off the list.
Yes, where you're working on something and you've hit a good stopping point.
Yeah.
There's no benefit to continuing.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're doing could wait, but because you're in the mood of working, you're like, I'll just do another one.
Yeah.
And then you finish it and you're like, one more, and then it's like 5 a.m. and you're like, this was stupid. Why did I do this?
There will be times where I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna set up the edit so like for Morning Mario, because there's kind of a lot of queuing and like a lot of like before you can actually like edit the dang thing. There's a lot of stuff that has to be synced. Yeah, and so like, and then I'm like, okay, well, I should probably go to bed. And I was like, well, I can just do the first episode. And then and it's the entire week, and I'm like, oh, I should have.
And then you're like, well, I'm done.
Well, I'm done.
Yeah, I can understand that. Lindsay, did you have anything that?
Yeah, for me, because I do work for a large corporation, I still have to have office hours. So, like, I have to be at...
Yeah, I was going to say, Lindsay works early.
Yeah.
Lindsay wakes up very early.
I recently changed it, so I go in a little bit later. I don't start until 6 a.m. now. It used to be 5 a.m. But yeah, so I get up and work from 6 a.m. until 3:30 most days. And... like I have to take my breaks and my lunch like I would in an office. So I have to put it in my calendar so people know that I'm not there, and I have to be back at a certain time, which does dig into lunches occasionally. I have to leave before everybody else. But yeah, they try to make it as office similar as possible, where you're just in an office in a different location. But it's not unreasonably strict. It's structured and like big kid job normal. And
that probably helps you keep work and life separate.
Yes.
Because you have that structure. Whereas like with basically everything that you're doing is real, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Like if you want to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, we'll edit videos now. Or I'll prepare social media posts. You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah, the other night I ended up sleeping for 2 hours, and I woke up for some reason feeling totally like, all right, whatever. So I was literally up until like 7:30 in the morning. I was like, because I could, and then I went back to bed. Not the best.
Yeah, I
haven't been very.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, lately I haven't been very smart as far as like time management, but yeah.
See, that's something that Mao and I have only in the last few months got a real firm grasp on, and I mean things got a little bit worse in like the last few weeks, but for the most part we've managed to keep a pretty good schedule, and it took us years to get to that point. But it doesn't take years to do it. It just took us years before we were like, this is stupid. Maybe we should like have a schedule so we don't feel awful all the time. And then we did. Here's a fun little question. Nintendo Lover 229 asks, what were your favorite and least favorite school field trips? So and this can encompass anything. Like school can be kindergarten, school could be college. Like as long as you were in education, what were some of your favorite or terrible school trips that you've had?
You want to start like on my end of the couch, or?
Yeah, Mal, speak up.
I can only remember 2 field trips ever.
Really?
Yeah. Did we go on many in high school?
I did. The art club went with Spanish club one time.
I wasn't in either.
Like this. Oh, you weren't in art club? Okay.
I didn't take art in high school.
Oh, no kidding. And then the choir trip.
That worked out well.
Nope, we did, but I didn't go. So I remember like the ones in kindergarten with like going on to the farm and stuff, because it's Wisconsin, so there's cows. We went to the Children's Museum in 1st grade in Rockford, Illinois, because I used to live in Elkhorn then. So I remember that, and there was like this 2-story slide, and that's all I remember.
Because as a kid, it's like, what?
But the one trip I really liked and remember the most was Menasha went on a field trip when I was in Japanese.
Nice.
And it was a different high school, and they let us go. So we went down
because you were taking a class at
Yeah.
the high school. Like,
we
you
went down to
You didn't just
Mitsuwa.
hear about it and show up at the other high school.
No,
Can I come?
I was taking the class, and Beatty Sensei was like, "We're doing a field trip. You'll have to get permission from your school and your parents." And we're like, "Okay." So we went down to Mitsuwa, and I think we did something else. But the next year, when I was graduating and Carly went, they went to the Milwaukee Art Institute also.
Okay.
But I remember we went, and Stephanie's mom chaperoned, and she went into the alcohol section and bought sake. And took it back on the bus back to Appleton.
Good field trip.
It's like all these high schoolers and like Stephanie's mom and the
Oh.
teacher and the upper level teacher.
That's funny.
I love Ellen. Stephanie's parents are great.
Did you have any field trip that was bad? I mean, if you can only remember 2.
We didn't go anywhere. Like,
I'm surprised you only had 2 field trips.
I know, we were
I
at
feel
like the
like I had
ritzy
a-
high school.
Yeah.
I had a lot. I don't know. I mean, I went to a private high school, so
I
we were
mean-
more apt to do more field trips, I guess. I mean, we would pay for them, but
The year I took musical theater, the semester, because it was, or a quarter, we did a traveling show. And
right, we
yeah,
did
it was in
too.
the really,
The dinosaur
yeah, I
one?
was in the dinosaur
Yeah,
one.
Danger dinosaurs?
Yeah. And
danger
classic.
dinosaurs.
we went to local
Classic.
elementary schools in the county and performed our little musical show about dinosaurs. And I was on setup team
Okay.
because I had sea lunch and it was 4th block class. So I would go with the guys who had the pickup trucks during sea lunch because I was the only one with sea lunch.
Sure.
And I went and I helped them
Because I'm
set
sure
up.
everybody else was in choir.
Yep.
And you were the only one not in choir.
And
Okay.
so then everyone else would show up for 4th block and do the little Danger Dinosaur musical.
I don't remember much of that.
I remember being in the lava pit.
Nice.
That's all I remember.
That's awesome.
And we had like baseball caps and we put teeth.
I forgot entirely about that dumb show.
It
I mean,
was-
amazing, real top-notch.
Broadway.
Yeah.
Hit.
Broadway caliber.
Tony level.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was for children.
It was so bad. It was good for kids.
Anyway, what's Lindsay? What's yours?
Yeah, I can remember a handful that were really fun. The Spanish classes in high school went with the art classes, and I can't remember. I want to say we went to Chicago. We went to an art museum.
In Chicago?
I think so.
That would be, what's it called? I know what it is. It's the big one that has the big Sunday in the Park with
Yeah,
Sarah.
yeah.
Also, isn't that place also got the diner one?
Yes, that does have Nighthawks.
Because you and
I have been there.
Me and you went together. I don't know how to remember.
It might be called Chicago Art Institute.
Okay.
I forget.
That might have been it.
But it's the one in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Chicago. It could have been Milwaukee, but I doubt it. But yeah, we went there and it was a joint venture with the 2 clubs because we did the art museum and then we went to a part of town called Pilsen Village, which if anybody's familiar with that, you're going to be like, well, obviously it was Chicago, or you idiots, it's not Chicago. I don't remember which. But that is like a predominantly Hispanic Latino area of town, and it was honestly just a bunch of little gringo kids walking around enjoying the city, which was so much fun. We had a great time.
Did you go on any college field trips?
So many field trips.
Okay.
Yeah, but our senior choir trip was fun. We went to the Minneapolis Museum of Science, or whatever. They had Body Worlds. That was a really good exhibit. If you're not queasy and you can go look at that kind of stuff, I highly recommend it.
Is that where they use the
super
actual
cool.
human body?
They had that here.
Yeah,
for a
we had
while.
that here. We saw that.
Yeah, it was really cool. But then in college, pretty much all of my field trips happened while I was living in Spain. They would just load all of us up onto a bus, and we went to Santiana del Mar, the Ruta de Castillas, and there's like a Roman museum outside of Valladolid, which is where I was staying. I think that's where we went. No, those are all the places. But yeah, it was so much fun because, I mean, we didn't have to drive. We just got to ride around and look at everything, and people would explain things to us. So that was great. I don't have any bad ones, I don't think.
I don't think I had any bad ones.
You didn't have any where like a kid ate like a chart of class. And...
I mean, there were definitely kids in our class that probably did that, but
Oh boy!
that wouldn't have ruined
They're
it
like
for
16.
me.
Oh boy!
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I had the mind of a 12-year-old.
A 12th. Like 1/12 of 1 year.
Yeah.
Dan, what about you? Any
Yeah.
interesting field trips?
Yeah, we went to DC in 8th grade, which was really fun.
Yeah, that probably would be my answer.
No, you're gonna
But what's hilarious? Well, not hilarious. It was seriously at the exact same time that there was a sniper.
With the gas stations.
Dan, we were in DC at the same time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Really? You were in?
Yeah. Because like all the parents were worried because
So
it was
when
happening.
you were in 8th grade.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
Neat. I wonder if we saw each other.
I don't know, maybe. But yeah, it was really fun. But like all the parents, because I remember all the parents being like, "Oh no!"
Yep.
And but I felt like all of us kids were like, "Oh, if we die, who cares?" Well,
At least we'll see
not
DC.
But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's funny because I remember that. We went to DC in 8th grade, and we had the trip planned, and then the DC sniper thing started happening where people were getting shot randomly. There was no pattern. It was just they eventually caught them.
Wasn't it people at gas stations?
And it was like there was just target practice to them. It was just whoever. So there wasn't a particular reason, I think. But they were shooting people, and we already had this trip planned, and the parents were freaking out. My mom was freaking out, and the school was like, we're just gonna keep everyone together as a group, and we'll just do our best. So we went when they had not yet caught them, but it had started. So it sounds like we were probably there at the exact same time.
Wow.
There's a chance we were in like the same museum at the same time.
Oh my god.
I'll have to go back and look at any photos I took or video I took.
Oh my god.
And see if Dan is like in the background.
That would be insane.
That would be crazy, but it's unlikely. But it could have happened.
I'm piggybacking off of that. We were in London at the same time when you were there for your cousin's wedding.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, that's when I was there studying abroad.
Oh my god.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you were in London, right?
Yeah, I was living right by Regent's Park, behind Madame Tussauds Museum.
Okay, I'll have to figure out where the church was that they had the wedding and like where we were staying and stuff.
When was that?
2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was actually the reason why I started the Daily Dan vlog, is because I just bought a flip camera and it was to record our trip up to England and,
that's right.
and all that. So that's crazy.
The 8th grade DC trip is one I would have mentioned for school trips because that was really great. We went back to DC in 10th grade, and then we went to England and France in 12th grade. So those were kind of like the really big trips that I had in high school. And those were ones I really enjoyed. Although we also took field trips to Taco Bell.
You did. You did.
Like
Multiple times, actually.
At least
like,
once a week?
No, like this was a school function. When I
thought you were making fun of us in college.
No. I'm talking about in high school.
Sorry.
I've talked briefly about it, maybe in like one of the last Q&As, recent one, where whenever we were going through high school, there was a core group of us that started to really suck at math, and it was in 10th grade or 11th grade, I think it was 11th grade, where we got our starting classes at the beginning of the year, and everyone's comparing stuff, and we realized that some of us had different classes. And we went to a small school, so it was like you had the same classes with everyone,
Like the
same
17
teacher.
of you.
Yeah, same teacher, same everything. And we're like, wait, why are some of you have a different math class? And then we finally figured out it was the 7 or 8 of us that just were stupid and had no idea how to do math, and we're standing over there like, oh. But it turned out to be great because everyone else took like trig, and we took business math. And business math is actually just 5th grade math. And
so you would go to Taco Bell to practice money counting.
It was great. The teacher was super cool. We had her before, and she was like,
Wait, is that a bit or is that for real?
That's for real. That's for real.
That was the field trip.
I think what happened is we ended up talking the teacher into it. Is because we had that class right before lunch, and we were like, Ms. Jones, was it? It might have been Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, why don't we go to Taco Bell and we can actually practice this? And she's like, we can't do that. And we kept talking about it, and finally she was like, okay, I guess we could do that. So like we could all drive, so we just drove to Taco Bell.
Seriously?
And we would eat lunch there for that class period, and it happened several times throughout the year. And then
You're like, where's Jimmy? Oh, he went home.
a few times we actually went somewhere else. And then there was one time where we had convinced her that if we really wanted to get a feeling for math, that we would have to go to like a fancy sit-down restaurant. So we went to like a fancy Mexican place.
I gotta figure out the tip. What is 15%? What is 20%?
Yeah, and it was funny because she knew that we were all idiots, and we actually called, the students had a lot of self-deprecating humor, and we called it stupid math. And she laughed when we did. She would never call it that, but she's like, okay, whatever. And yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. She enjoyed it. Like when we were out to eat, like she was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. But she didn't get fired. Or did she? Whatever. Next question. Next question is from ochibrochi. Lindsey, how did you get into scrapbooking? And also, can we see some of your work? And can you give us some insight on your creation process?
Of course. I got into scrapbooking because of my mother. She would always make cards.
It's all her fault.
Yeah, it's her fault. My addiction, spending all my money on my stuff. But yeah, when I was younger, she was always like making cards and doing stamping and all that stuff.
She did a lot of crafty stuff with Girl Scouts. Because she was troop leader or like worked with
for
it?
a little while at least. Yeah. I mean, when I was really young, like a toddler and a baby, she would make clothes for me. And I mean, she's always like, she used to make crafts and have a craft sale. And when I got old enough to have like friends over, Stephanie's mom came over to pick her up one time, and she was like, oh my gosh, I love all your crafty things around the house, whatever. And she goes, did you used to live wherever and have these craft sales? And like Stephanie's mom had been a customer of my mom's craft sales, which again, small world. So yeah, she was always into crafting, and then she got into stamping, and then stamping kind of, if any of you were into stamping in the 90s, that evolved into scrapbooking, and a lot of the same companies that were doing stamps are now doing scrapbooking stuff. So it just kind of evolved, and I became an adult and got my own job and started buying my own supplies, and I even go to the Scrapbook Expo in Milwaukee every year. I flew home last year and made a weekend out of it and did some stuff with my mom. Like, we have a whole group of ladies that go. We honestly load up our vehicles with as much as we can fit, like paper and stickers and embellishments, and we go and get a hotel room and like set up tables and just scrapbook for 4 days. It's super fun. I guess I would say it's the scrapbook equivalent to a LAN party. I mean,
yeah, that's basically what it sounds like. Yeah, probably with less Mountain Dew.
Yeah, there's not as much Mountain Dew.
You'd be surprised.
This was my like motion for scrapbooking, is pasting something.
Yep. Yeah.
Or being a DJ. So Lindsey didn't bring any of her stuff with her.
I didn't think about it, I'm sorry.
But I'll just have you take some pictures and we'll show them on screen of some of the things you've done. So as far as your creation process.
That one, it depends, because you have to like get all the pieces together. So I guess I would say that I try to do photos, like, let's just say I did a weekend vacation somewhere. I'm trying to think of what I was most recently working on. I honestly have no idea. Maybe when I moved here. Like, I have a bunch of pictures when my mom was down here helping me move.
Yeah.
So, like, I get the pictures and I separate them by day or what we were doing. And then typically I don't do any more than 6 photos on a 2-page layout. So I'll trim the photos down so that what's in them is what I want on the page. And then from there, I pick colors and patterns, and if I have
embellishments that match.
Yeah, like pearl stickers and swirlies and gemstones, and I kind of set it all out before I start gluing down. But then there are also days where I just look at a couple of different colors and just start sticking stuff down and then decide what photos go with it. So it depends.
A lot of the stuff has been really interesting to me personally because, and probably interesting to you too, Dan, because of our background in design. And it's really interesting to see Lindsey put something together with physical things. And I think about the process in like Photoshop. Like if you're doing a specific thing, like I'm like, oh, that's this option. But it's like you have a physical tool or you have a particular machine that does a thing. And I'm just like, whoa, this is the stroke tool, but it's in real life. Or, this does this. It's just kind of interesting to me.
Like when you introduce like a heat gun and like what it can do to like, it's really cool.
Yeah, we've shown off a little bit of that on the vlog before, I know, because...
the cards?
Yeah, we showed you guys making some cards. I guess that was a while back, but yeah. I know that's been one of the things that we've shown. Yeah, Kepler is not cared, man. He's been super lounging this video, which is fine. I'm glad that you're comfortable, buddy. So the next question is actually kind of it's a collection of questions because there was a lot of questions that were directed towards Dan regarding editing. So for those that don't know, when Dan moved here, he started taking on editing tasks for Stephen Plays. Before you moved here, you were actually making memorable moments.
Yeah, like
years.
every 6 months or so, I'd be getting a new batch and sending them back.
But once he moved here, we started giving him more and more material on Stephen Plays to edit, and it's now to the point where Dan's editing most of the stuff on the channel. Right now, the only thing that he's not editing is First 20 and Fallout.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think you have
everything else.
Unless there's like a weird special video that comes out, but otherwise, that's basically the only stuff I do. So we took a bunch of your questions and made a big question because it was the best way to do it. So first, what is it like editing videos for Stephen Plays?
It reminds me a lot of just videos that I would make myself. I think one of the things, Stephen, that because you've said like I'm the only person that you would trust with editing stuff, and I think it's because we have a lot of the same sensibilities. I think we have
similar senses of humor too.
Yeah, senses of humor. It's been really fun. It's it just kind of just feels natural to me. Like I've never like had to think like what's something that like different that I would or that Stephen would do or want here that I typically wouldn't think of. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
If we had wildly different senses of humor,
that would come across.
I don't think it would work very well.
Yeah.
But the fact that we do makes it work a little better. He's really going to town. It's like, what? Sorry? Are you talking about me? Another question that people were interested in is like what input do I give you? Like what direction?
Yeah.
And how much free reign do you get? So like what's the balance?
Yeah, I get pretty free range to do stuff. Like if there's something that I want to do, then I'm like, hey Stephen, is it cool if I do this? Like I'll ask you, but it's so rarely because I feel like I generally have an idea of like what you would want and what you wouldn't want.
And like, on occasion, I know that like if it's going to be close to a deadline, you've actually just exported both versions. You'll be like, here's one where I kept this joke, here's one where I left it out.
Yeah.
You can just pick whatever one you want to do.
Yeah. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Like, I only made one version. The first time, it was the Ocarina of Time Let's Play. and it was when you get the first, it's the light medallion.
Yep.
And there's a part where you hyped it all up. You're like, everyone's wondering what the right side of the screen is for. Dan, throw up that light medallion. But I threw in a fart noise. And I just found it endlessly funny. And I was kind of like, I want to see what he thinks. But I only made one version. And then I actually played it in front of you. And you like laughed.
I was like, this is great.
And I was like, okay, good. That was like the only time where I felt like I was like...
Well, that was also, I mean, when you first got here, which was like October 2016,
October
your first goals were working on the heist.
Yeah.
And then it was only in this 2017 where you started working slowly on the Let's Play stuff. So Ocarina of Time would have been one of the first things you did.
Yeah.
I think you did Halo first. I think you did Halo 3 and ODST.
Yeah, I think so.
But then Ocarina of Time would have been an early one, so you would have still been like, is it okay if I
Yeah,
include random fart
like,
noises? Is that not okay? And one of the things that I've actually enjoyed about having Dan as an editor is that I really love an entirely new set of humor that can come from interacting with this god figure that exists outside the realm of the video. Because I can ask for things to happen, and Dan can make them happen.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting. You know, things like the medallion in Ocarina of Time, I can be like, throw that up there, Dan. I can talk to Dan as if he's there, and Dan can interact either with voice or text or whatever.
Or farts.
Yeah.
Or farts.
Yeah, and the NES classic, like I think one of the first ones was when you were like, Dad, let's get a death counter on there, because Mal kept dying at the thing. Not to throw you under the bus, Mal.
No,
It's fine.
But it's been fun, and there have been times where I've asked you things that I've been like, hey, like the Assassin's Creed.
There was a recent episode of Assassin's Creed where I completely forgot
that one of the characters speaks English.
Well, if you say it like that, it sounds like I'm crazy. So the character is a Native American character, and he lives in a Native American village, and up to that point, he had spoken English, but like, just briefly.
Very briefly. But.
And then in the next episode, which was a different recording session, which is why some time had passed and I just forgot.
It might have been like a week or like maybe a week and a half or something.
In that video, all of a sudden he's speaking English, and I'm like, where did he speak? When did this happen? Why? And like Dan's watching it, and he's thinking, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah.
Like he's already spoken English. His mother can speak fluent English.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't you know this? So Dan included all this text on screen that just makes fun of the fact that I've forgotten.
Yeah. I was like, the commenters are gonna like.
And actually, that sort of thing's great, because what it does is it creates more interaction between this, Dan and myself.
Yeah.
But also it prevents people from getting angry at me, because the comments, and all the comments were like praising Dan for the humor, because they're like, Dan is saying what we're thinking. That's the funniest thing I've ever read. And if Dan's comments wouldn't have been there, all those comments would have just been, Steven, you idiot.
Yeah.
Why didn't you remember?
Or like the special Goron crop.
Yes,
is another good one.
So like anytime you can turn potential anger into comedy, I was like, go for it. I don't care if I'm the butt of a joke, especially for something that would have been so obvious as, of course he speaks English, what are you doing? There was even a time earlier in that episode where I forgot about one mechanic where you can jump off of cliffs if birds are there.
Yeah. And
I'm like, there's just no way to get down. And I keep running by all these birds, and Dan's like, Jesus Christ, Steven, you can jump where the birds are. And I'm like, there's no way down. I can't do it.
Isn't that how it works in like
all of the games?
Yeah. And there was a point where you got to a cliff. You can clearly see a pile of leaves at the bottom, and you turn to the right, and you just jump.
I just jump. I'm like, well, here I go. Yeah. So like that sort of thing is great, and anytime that can be included, it's recommended. Kepler is thinking about eating the light.
This is one of the first times I've ever seen his pupils so small.
Because he's
they have to be so close to the light source.
So a few other quick things related to this question.
Oh yeah.
What has been your biggest surprise to doing this?
Well, feel free to include this or not. But something that I noticed, especially during Morning Mario, is that in between the days you tend to burp a lot.
It's true.
And I think it's because I don't know if you're like just inhaling so much air or something. No,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And that's something that I'm very acutely aware of.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think when I'm playing a game normally, I'm commentating a lot, and when you talk a lot, you do have a tendency to burp. But with Mario specifically, especially if I'm playing like hard levels, it really gets you worked up.
Yeah. You're getting worked up. I think sometimes you hold your breath as well, and
So I can see that. I do. I belch just immensely. Like I'll finish an episode and I'll be like,
that's Morning Mario.
Yeah, that does happen. That's a good answer to that question. What's your favorite and least favorite part of editing the stuff?
Probably. I mean, and it's not even like towards you or anything. It's just the waiting to render, because like usually overnight I'll have something to render, and whenever I get a new computer, which hopefully should be soon.
Quick anecdote.
It would be way.
Dan is operating on mid 2010 Mac Pro.
Yeah. So it's powerful in its way, or like it would have been powerful in its heyday, but like now it takes a while for things to render, and it'll be so much better whenever I upgrade. But
Dan is going to be getting a new computer this year, and but it's interesting because he's still working on like very old hardware, and it can do things, but on the few occasions we've asked it nicely to do 4K.
4K, yeah.
It's not been happy.
Yeah.
It has let us know.
Sacrificing anything to it?
Just put a goat into the disk drive, and that's because one of the 4K things we did recently was the mini golf.
Oh yeah.
Because we shoot mini golf in 4K.
Yeah.
And I remember I went over to pick up the footage, and Dan was like, "Well, I have episode 1," and I was like, "Oh, I thought you've had this done for like, a month or two." And he said, "Yeah." He said the computer won't export episode 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What? It won't export?" He goes, "No." He said, "I've tried like 3 times," and I'm like, "Oh God."
Yeah. We finally got it.
Yeah.
Worked out,
we decided we're gonna keep away from the 4K until Dan gets a new computer. And then there's two other quick things. First thing is, have we ever disagreed on how to tackle something?
I don't think so at all. I've never felt like we've ever bumped. Is that the term? Bumped heads?
Yeah, I don't think we have. Butted heads. Bumped heads. I mean, there's been it's hard to even point out things that like Dan would have done other than like, oh, change that. Like that almost never happens. And if it would have happened, it would have been a lot more at the beginning. And now we're to the point where you just do the thing. I mean, you have the most freedom in Morning Mario, and that's actually the most exciting for me. Yeah. Because whenever I finish a normal video and I give it to Dan, I don't watch it when it comes back. I send it to Dan, I know what I did, and I'm like, it's in Dan's hands, I trust it. But when I do Morning Mario, a lot of that series is on-screen gags, and because Dan is the one doing the gags, I'm really curious to see what the gags are. So when he gives me Mario back, I watch them all through, because I'm like, oh my God, that's great, that's fantastic. And recently I've tried to really force some interaction between us.
Yeah.
When I did like the camel thing, so I'm like calling out Dan to do a thing. Yeah. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know what it'll look like. Yeah. But I just know something is going to appear there, and that's really fun. Yeah. It's fun for me, so I know it must be fun for people watching. Yeah. Last question of this question. Yeah. What's the hardest thing you've had to edit? And I think I know the answer, but I'm really curious to see what you're going to say.
Yeah. I'd probably say Exploding Kittens.
Wait, what did you call it the other day?
Oh, like blow up cat or
he couldn't remember
explosions.
Cat explosions.
So funny.
A lot of it had to do with the assets of like the cards, because like
and to a lesser extent Uno.
Yeah.
But Exploding Kittens, I think, is...
Yeah, and Exploding Kittens, one of the things that I made sure to do was have the played card, like the just played card on the screen. And sometimes, like, because we did have that 1 second camera that had the thing, but sometimes people would place cards down, and, like, you couldn't tell what the card was. And so, like, I would have to, like, study it and, like, zoom in and be like, what is that? Like, I can't tell what that is.
Did we give you our decks to go through, too?
Yeah. I had to borrow the cards.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my God.
I was like, what is this? Yeah.
We, if you haven't seen that video, it was ChefCon 2015, 16? One of the two, where we were at Chaz and Jeff's house in Muncie, Indiana, and we recorded 3 different videos. One was Uno, which is out. Yeah. One is Exploding Kittens, which is out. And the last one...
That's going to be like my opus.
The last one is us playing a board game version of Pokemon Master Trainer. And like it's 3 hours long. Yeah, 3 hours. We still have all the footage. It's one of those things that, like, We want to do it, but it's going to take Dan so long to do when he needs to be working on like Assassin's Creed or whatever,
or like Morning Mario.
So it's like when we get far enough ahead that Dan can work on it, it'll happen. Yeah. But yeah, are they fighting?
They are fighting through the curtains.
They love to play.
I thought it was just Kepi by himself, and I was like, "That's one dumb cat."
I mean, he also will do that too. So, are you done playing? He decided to walk away. All right. We're off that question. Here's a fun one for everyone. This is from Metamonkey. What are some nicknames you've had? Obviously, we know that Mallory goes by Mal, just forever. But Dan and Lindsay, have you guys ever had any nicknames?
My parents call me Linz, like just the one-syllable abbreviation of Lindsay.
Yeah, I mean I think it's a pretty common nickname for Lindsay.
And I've also been called Limes because when you try to type Linz, it autocorrects to Limes. Huh. So that's my partying alter ego.
So Siri calls you Limes.
Yeah.
People used to call me Captain D's. No, I'm just kidding.
The fish restaurant?
Yeah, sure. No, just Dan. Like the only people that call me by my real name, which is Bartholomew, are my are my parents. But everybody else just calls me Dan.
Dan's name, by the way, because someone will take that.
Oh, it's Daniel.
It's Daniel. Yeah. Which probably is obvious.
Yeah.
But I just
But you never know with the internet.
I didn't want anyone updating like the wiki being like Bartholomew.
Bartholomew's.
I think I've talked about nicknames I've had before, but when I was growing up, my grandfather called me Gator.
Oh.
I don't know why. Actually, I don't really know what that's from, but he.
Which
called
grandfather?
My mom's dad.
Okay.
He called me Gator.
Did you see you like wrestling a gator one time?
Yeah, when I was 6. Otherwise, there was for a while in high school there was a few people, and I mean a few by like one, who called me Steve-O. I didn't really like it. I liked watching Jackass and I liked watching Steve-O, but I did not want to be Steve-O. Yeah. Even now, because he's still crazy. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy.
I remember it was like within the first month of us like being friends or whatever, and I remember this moment very clearly, because I was like Steven, can I just call you Steve? Like it's like a shorter version, and you're like no. I was like oh. Okay.
No. And the reason for that is
because your dad.
Yeah. And anytime someone like new tries to call me Steve, I say, can't call me Steve. Steve's my father. And I just try to do it as nicely as possible. And one more. My grandfather, in addition to calling me Gator, would more commonly call me Stevine. And a lot of times he, like, cards that I would get for birthdays and holidays and stuff, they would be addressed Stevine. STEE-VINE. Stevine.
Okay, Stevine.
Yep. And then also I was gonna early on when I was like 1, I had some relatives call me Andy.
Oh my God! You should have had your, whenever Vine was popular, you should have called it, your username would be Stevine.
Yeah, no. The only reason I got called Andy is because my middle name was Andrew, and I think
it is Andrew.
No, not anymore. He changed it.
Oh, is it now Stevine?
Steve.
I think it's just Vine. Stephen Vine.
My middle name's Andrew, and someone on my dad's side of the family, maybe my grandma, liked the name Andrew and wanted to just call me Andy. Like they were just gonna call me like middle name, and I think my parents were like, no, he's Stephen, but it was
he's our child.
Before they were able to do that, it kind of got to that some part of the family where they actually were like Andy, little Andy. So for a brief time, for like a year or two, I was Andy, but I'm not actually Andy. I know an Andy. He's a great guy. Next question is from KH Lovergirl 113.
Lovergirl.
Do you have a favorite video game of all time? You already know ours. I like Earthbound, Malik's Mother 3.
Which I recently played and was fun.
Yeah, Dan recently got through Earthbound. And now he gets all of the art we have all over our house.
Yeah, I know. I get it now.
You get the references.
I would say probably Fallout 3. Really love that game. It introduced me to the whole, like, I mean, it's not an RPG game. It has RPG type elements, but
yeah, I mean, it's an action first-person shooter RPG.
Yeah, and just
Fair.
like the same, I love the openness to it, which is why I felt like I didn't really care for the one after that, New Vegas, which some people might massacre me over the internet for.
But yeah, I mean, I actually haven't played New Vegas, but it's kind of universal that New Vegas is like the best modern Fallout game.
Yeah, but I'm like, I didn't like the totally linear storyline. I felt like that was a little much.
Now, Lindsey.
Yeah.
Lindsey's in an interesting position because you are now in an environment and around people and in recordings and all this stuff that is all very video game centric.
And I am not a member of this group because of my love of video games. A lot of you met each other because of the Earthbound franchise.
Yeah.
I'm just here because we've been friends for 20 years.
I'm just here.
I'm along for the ride, guys, so...
I mean, but... I'm sure you played video games as a kid. So what like what video games were on your radar when you were younger?
Well, I do have, I want to say Mario Party 2.
I think you have 2.
Mario Party 2, which was N64, and I don't have Super Smash Brothers. What's the other one?
You didn't have Smash 64?
Maybe I do.
Because
I don't
Stephanie didn't. I
remember.
thought you had it.
Maybe I do have that one. But either way, at this point, those are just investments because I still have the boxes and the instruction manuals and everything. So, so that's what those are. And I enjoyed
good games
those.
to have complete.
Yeah.
I enjoyed those games, but because these ladies played them so much more frequently than I did, no matter how much better I would get, they were always leaps and bounds ahead of me. So it's not that I dislike those games, it's just that they're very frustrating to play against people who are significantly more talented at them than you are.
But you would have fun with it. Like, you would grab people and take them off the cliff.
Yeah, I would.
I remember doing that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, with Donkey Kong?
Yeah, or Kirby.
Or Kirby, yeah.
Definitely in Mario Kart, I would just, like, in the Western one, I would just go down the train tracks in the tunnel and, like, I'm out of here. So those are fun, but I do have to admit, Lego Harry Potter for the original Wii is probably my very favorite video game.
For those who are not aware, Lindsey is... She kind of likes Harry Potter.
I got it.
She kind of...
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I turned 30. So I'm kind of a Harry Potter fan.
How many sets of the books?
Oh yeah, that's
do you...
right. That's coming out soon too. I collect different language editions of the Harry Potter books. I have the American one in hardcover and softcover, and then the British adult one in hardcover and softcover, and the British children's one. And I'm missing a couple from each of those, but I don't remember which ones they are. And then, as you'll see from the vlogs in New York, we go to a Japanese bookstore, and I find a near entire set of hardcover and paperback in Japanese. I've started ordering in German and Dutch from used book websites, which is really, really cool to find those. Spanish, I've got Spanish started in paperback. But yeah, once I get in a house, I'm gonna get like a big bookshelf and have them all in my living room or something.
This is gonna be pretty cool. I'm actually pretty excited to see that all finished up. It's gonna be neat. So that here's a tiny follow-up question, because you are now involved. Like, we do Stephen and Friends. By the way, big thanks to Dan, because in 2017 Stephen and Friends came back. Because it had kind of been on hiatus, and it was around every single weekend, every Saturday for the entire year of 2017. Yeah. But that means that we're all playing video games again. That means that you're joining us and playing video games. How have you adapted to playing these games more often, like playing GTA?
Well, she had never touched an Xbox controller until
the first episode of GTA that I'm in, I had never touched an Xbox controller before that day.
Because I have opinions on how you've adapted, and that is extremely well.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you're like, I don't play video games, but after you had played an episode or two of GTA, like, you were quite good at it. Like you were doing well in the races, and you had a pretty good handle on all the controls and stuff. I mean, GTA Online is one of the most frustratingly complex games, even for us, because we're always like, how is it that you do this?
Yeah, we'll learn like new controls for things.
And
we've been playing for years.
But from your end, like playing the games, like how have you adapted? Have you had fun playing the games? And
I actually have had a lot of fun. I enjoy Golf with Your Friends because I can use my touchpad. I have a laptop, I don't have a desktop, and I don't have a mouse. So I just use like my touchpad for that. And then like whenever we play Broken Picture Phone, I use my touchpad. I don't know why, I just don't get on board with the mouse, but
some of us have graphic tablets.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting over here like clicking with this finger and drawing with this finger. But yeah,
yet you're not the last one done.
Well, have you seen some of the artwork? I mean, I normally do stick people, and then we've got Alex over there with perfectly shaded purple grapes.
Well, the thing is, you also like take advantage of all the tools that Chaz put together, like all the shape tools, all the other things.
Definitely.
And we're just
yeah. But yeah, GTA 5, I am surprised at how good I am. And I feel like that's really braggy. But, you all know my history with video games.
Yeah,
you're all very impressed.
I think you're allowed
with
to
me.
brag.
Okay.
I mean, for someone that's like, I've never touched an Xbox controller before, so these are analog sticks? Neat. And then to just jump in and being like, you're not coming in last on races.
Yes, I am.
Some of them.
Like, I'm not finishing most of them. Like the Transform races, I haven't finished one of those
Well, to be
yet.
fair, those are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now we're bulldozers! Yeah! Like, there's some things that are a little ridiculous. But yeah, you've
Well, and I feel like every episode I get in an airplane, I'm like, wait, which button does the thing?
I mean, I do that.
And then I always have to be like, don't tell me a letter, you have to tell me a color for the button, because I don't know what the buttons are.
Also, to be fair, at least half of our group is still terrible at flying planes, and they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Some of the
I
people
landed one yesterday.
That's huge.
I landed it and
Surviving
climbed out.
a landing in a plane in that game is hard, so...
Yeah, I'm really proud of that one.
That's pretty good. All right, so this is a really fun question. The ThePisceanDragon says, what is the worst thing you have ever eaten? Was it in a restaurant? Recipe gone bad? Something a loved one made? Tell me, please. So, worst thing you've ever had?
Raw chicken tenders. I was at a restaurant up by my grandma's, up in Lakewood.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's pretty good.
They must have been frozen and they tried to deep fry them, and they were raw when I got them.
I'm going to latch on to your answer quickly because mine... I wasn't thinking about this, but I've also had raw chicken. And it was when we were in sophomore year. We went to J.O.'s, the cafeteria below where we lived.
Oh, seriously?
And I had a fried drumstick, and I bit into it, and the middle of it was purple. And I was like... Dun, 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 dun,
That's what I did. But I was too young and didn't know, and my dad
just,
saw it and made me stop eating.
Moonwalk out of
Yeah, I just walked backwards out the door. Lindsey or Dan, worst food?
I honestly, I might have mentally blocked it out of my memory, but I can't think of a time where I'm just like, what is the problem with you? Or like,
What's the problem with
I don't know.
Yeah, I had a Caesar salad when I was on vacation one time, and it was just so fishy. Like, I don't know, because there's anchovies in the dressing, but
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it was like they double or tripled how many were supposed to be in there, and it smelled like fish, and it tasted like fish, and I was like, I don't know how you can screw up a salad, but y'all accomplished it.
And you're not
Congratulations.
You're not big on fish.
No,
Yeah,
I don't like fish.
That's gonna make it worse. It's not like an enhancing thing. This is a much better salad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fish.
it was terrible. It was really awful.
I can't. I don't really have a worst food. Okay, so this is nothing against Mal, but there was
I know
one
what this is
time
now.
she knows what it. She's not what I'm going to say. There was one time, and this was, were we still dating?
Yes.
We were still dating. Mal decided she was going to make a smoothie. She made a smoothie for herself or for me or something. She made a smoothie.
You know the smoothies I made in high school? No, okay.
She made me a smoothie, and I was like, sure, and I tried it, and it was like one of the worst things I've ever had, and I was like, this is terrible. What is this? And what was it? Just like lack of sweet, or?
Oh no, there was plenty of sugar in that.
Oh really? Okay, I have no idea. Anyway, it was shortly after that we both got really good at making smoothies, I think, because for a while we made smoothies. I remember in Colombia we made smoothies, and also in when we lived at the apartment. So that was like something that spurred me into making better smoothies.
Yeah, if y'all ever want to start that again and invite us over.
What, a smoothie party? But that wasn't like terrible. It was just something I remember because Mal always makes really good food. And in the realm of all of her food being so good, that was like the one thing that always stuck out. Is like, what was this? What happened? I can tell you about the worst dining experience I had, which kind of also leads into some bad food. And that was actually on the vlog whenever I was with Emil and Masay and Tim and John.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Outback. Where I think it was before.
That's also bad.
Yeah.
That was so
But
bad.
whenever I was with TRG in Atlanta, we went to a Steak and Shake, and it's on the vlog, where we are all eating in there, and it's like it's late at night, but there's still plenty of workers in there. We're the only people in there. It took forever for them to come back to the table and check on us, forever to get drinks, forever to do anything. And when the food finally came, almost everyone's orders were wrong. Masay's chicken tenders like had a bite bitten out of them, which is insane. John ordered like a hot dog with ketchup, and he got a hot dog with like mustard and mayonnaise or something like that.
Wasn't it just like a ton of it too? Like it was swimming in it?
Yeah, it was something ridiculous. But that vlog exists and is worth catching because it was insane. It was ridiculous. But I don't remember like what the worst thing that I ever ate was.
Dinner last night was pretty bad.
It was a lot of mushed peas. That wasn't great either. Here's a question for Dan. This is from Michael Johnson.
Okay.
Will you make any additional episodes of your animated series, The Art School?
Hi, Michael. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so it's been a couple years. I've kind of just been like, it's been on the back burner. Just kind of putting it to the side. It'll come out. It takes a lot of time. It's still in pre-production hell. I feel I've been going through the thing of like I feel like I've written myself in a corner.
I mean,
but- and
I'll do something. I'll say something to free you a little bit.
Okay, what's that?
And that is, how many have we? Have we co-written all of them? Even the first one?
I don't think so. I think I wrote the first
one. Me and Dan co-write a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
he hasn't read it. It's all his fault.
It's all my fault. So what happens, especially when Dan was still living in Florida, is that he would work on the script and then he would send it to me and we would collaborate on that.
Yeah.
And on the newest episode 6, I received that email from Dan.
It's still marked as unread.
3 years ago, and when I saw it, I said, I don't have time for this right now, but when I do, I'll open this email. I have never opened the email. And I clear my inbox. So the way I use my inbox is that I only look at stuff that's unread.
I mean, that must be driving you nuts, though, right? Because it's just like at the bottom, and you're.
I just don't have time to deal with it yet.
Okay.
So it's at the bottom of my inbox, and there it is, like Art School Episode 6. And I've never looked at the script before because anytime I do, I'm like, I don't have time to deal with that yet. So I just haven't touched it. So really, I feel like if I would have opened it and started to collaborate and started to push it forward, it probably would have started to come together. So I will take some responsibility for that. But also, the Art School takes a long time to make.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It's not an easy series to produce.
Yeah.
I say that as someone who doesn't produce it. I've seen the struggles that Dan has had with it because it takes forever.
Because it's just me. I mean, but besides the people recording their lines, which can take some time, just because it takes some time to, the time to record it. But like, a large majority is just all on me because I'm, besides Steven helping me, I'm the only one.
I mean,
I'm doing all the animation.
All I do is co-write it. I co-write it and record my lines. Dan does every visual thing and all the mixing and all the stuff. So,
It's
Yeah, it's one of those things that when it comes out, it'll come out. But it's like what I tell people about like the cookbook. I just say it's not canceled.
Yeah. It's just,
is it actively being produced? Nope. Is it canceled? Nope.
Someday my friends.
He just wanted to take a journey across everyone's lap and
Didn't
go
even
down.
touch me.
All right, so the final question, and I wrote that this was from everyone because people ask this not only on the Q&A, but like anytime there is a vlog that features both Dan and Lindsey, everyone asks
Twitter. People ask it on Twitter.
Everyone wants to know if you guys are dating or a couple because Dan and Lindsey are roommates, and they've. Lindsey, you moved here July 2016.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Dan, you moved here October. And they've been roommates that entire time, and people want to know if you guys are dating because of that.
No.
Mm-mm.
It's been something that we've also tried to answer.
If any of you know what that means.
I thought you were flipping people off.
No.
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 It's been something that we've also tried to answer, like in comments when we see it come up. We're like, no, just roommates. But it's really, really hard for some people to wrap their mind around that idea that people of opposite sex could live together and not be a couple.
Yeah.
But I figured it'd be best if it just came from you guys. It's like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I will have to say, I think it's the same for you, where it's the first time ever living with a member of the opposite sex.
Platonically, yes.
Yeah. Platonically.
I lived with somebody that I was dating, which is a really bad choice. Make sure you know the person before you move in together.
Is there any... I mean, I guess it would be more of a question for Dan than you, since you've lived with someone of the opposite sex. But is there anything that's like, I don't know, that is different or weird or that was unexpected from living? Because the only person that you've lived with prior to this is like me.
Yeah.
In college.
Yeah. I mean, not really. Like I was.
Girls are messier than you'd probably assume.
Yeah, I felt that.
That's fair.
No. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised of how unsurprising it was.
Just like, gasp, living with another human.
Well, no, I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, no. Never mind.
But yeah, I mean, it's MBD, bro. Like it's
it's basically normal.
Don't say MBD, bro.
Don't be Dan. Don't do those things. Yeah, and as far as your relationship as roommates, how has that been? I mean, one thing that, and I will reveal this, it's a revelation. One thing that I've wondered, and it's been like almost a year and a half now that you guys have lived together. One thing that has never happened, and this is Scout's honor, it's never happened. There's never been anything from either Dan or Lindsey, for like coming to Mal and I, being like, "Oh man, this other person is doing this thing."
Oh really?
You know?
Okay, good.
Shut up.
That's seriously never happened. There has never been a time where Lindsey has talked to Mal or I and been like, "Okay, Dan, he leaves his socks on the ceiling fan and it's driving me insane." And there's never been a time where Dan has been like, "I can't stand it when Lindsey, starts shouting Shakespeare at 3 a.m. Why does she do this?" That's never happened. So I assume that
strangely, it's just Much Ado About Nothing, and that's all she quotes all the time.
Because I mean, it seems like you guys are really good roommates. That you're both chill, casual people, and
I think two of the main pillars that I think really help is that we both don't like coffee or fish.
Seriously though.
Yeah. Like I don't like the smell of coffee. I don't like the taste of coffee, and so I never have to worry about being woken up by the gross aroma that is coffee beans. And I never have to be like, "Oh God, what's that smell? Oh, she's cooking fish."
You would hate living here because we have coffee in the morning and fish in the afternoon. It would just kill you.
Well, good thing we're not in a polygamous relation or whatever.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, if you wanna come live with us and our cats, then you just let me know. But you will have to adapt to coffee and fish.
I would not.
So yeah, hopefully that settles that. And the great thing is, even if someone doesn't see this Q&A, some of you did, and if anyone asks in the future, because you see a video in which the four of us are together, are Dan and Lindsey dating, you can be like...
Please send them to this video.
You can be like, nope.
And also, these are hearing aids, I don't think.
The question that Dan has received for years worth of vlogs is, does Dan know there's something in his ear?
What is that?
What is that? What could that be? Well, now that's also settled. That's it. That's all the questions. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for inviting us.
I think this
applause.
I think this is the international symbol for excitement. I think doing this was a good idea because you guys are in the vlogs a lot more now because you guys live here.
Also, nobody asked this, but no, I'm not her sister. That's not why I'm here.
They are cousins.
Actually, someone has asked that.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Well, not on this video.
Yeah, not on this video.
Or
But I did see it. I've seen a comment or two in the past asking if you guys were sisters.
We are very distant cousins, which we suspected, and then found out via the DNA test.
Yep.
It's true.
Which is pretty neat. But yeah, next month it'll just be Mao and myself, so you can ask questions specifically for us.
So boring.
Or if you want to ask questions for the cats, because they're hanging around. But thank you guys again for joining us.
Of course.
And we'll see you next month for another Q&A.
Let's meet back next month, right?
Bye!
He looks like he didn't have any bones.
I'm a jelly cat.
He doesn't even have a neck. It's just like a loaf. Vertical loaf.
Poor thing.